Well, let me ask you this then, and I may have asked you this once before. I don't think so though. But Emmanuel Stewart, you know what he thought, and he let everyone know what he thought about conditioning coaches. He called them, in my best Emmanuel voice, you know what? They're the drug pushers of boxing, in my opinion. Now, from my observation, you never had to worry about anyone pissing dirty until these motherfuckers came into the sport.
Right. Yeah, and I would say that's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? And in talking to Freddie Roach, because everyone used to, like Manuel, used to call Wildcard Jim, you know what? I don't trust any motherfuckers over there. That's Juice Central. That's what he used to call it, Juice Central. And I told Freddie Roach that, and he goes, well, you want to get rid of these guys? You want to get rid of any of this stuff? Get rid of all the strength and conditioning coaches in boxing. He said the same thing. So why don't we ban these guys who have been ostracized from other sports? Why do we allow them to continuously work with our fighters?
I have no idea. Generally speaking, I'm not a big fan of any of the strength coaches I've ever met, except for Arthur's strength coach, who's a guy, his name's Andre. He's from Poland. This guy is in his 70s, and he's a monster like Arthur's a monster. Like, he plays racquetball against Arthur and beats Arthur at racquetball, which is a very, very high demanding sport. This 70-something-year-old guy beats Arthur in racquetball. So he's a beast, and he puts Arthur through the training. And he told me Arthur's the strongest athlete he's ever worked with in his life. And he's worked with MMA and hockey players, and he said Arthur's the strongest for sure. But other than him, I've had experiences with strength coaches, and without going into big details, but it's proven to me to be everything I thought it was going to be, and that's not a good thing. I think a lot of fighters, they're almost brainwashed into thinking we need strength coaches. Like, I had a fighter one time when I first started training him, and he said, all right, who's going to be my strength coach? And I'm like, man, I'm your strength coach. Like, I know what you need. I know what you need for boxing, right? And you get these guys, and they talk, and they're going to do the enzymes and the protein, and we're going to mix the protein with this. And it's like, listen, man, I just want the guy to be able to throw a lot of punches. Okay. And, think about this. And I challenge all of your listeners, think about this. In the last 25 years, since strength coaches have become so prevalent, have you seen anyone on a regular basis, especially, throw as many punches as Cornelius Boza Edwards, Bobby Chacon, Ray Oliveira? Have you seen a fight like Mancini and Arguello? Have you seen a fight like that for the entire duration? These guys have strength coaches, and they still don't throw more than 600 or 700 punches a fight. Meanwhile, Ray Oliveira, back in the 90s, was throwing 1,700 punches in fights that other people throw 700. He was throwing 1,000 more punches. Him and Vince Phillips, I believe it was, combined threw over 3,000 punches. The most punches, as I recall, I've ever thrown in a fight was like 920, right? In a 10-round fight. These guys threw 3,000 combined in a fight. It's just, and they didn't have strength coaches back then. The guys today have all this stuff. They can do all these things, but they still can't throw punches, and they still get tired in the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th round. So what good is it? What exactly is your purpose on this earth if you guys aren't making a noticeable difference in these guys?
That's it. I tell you what, I couldn't have said that any better. Emmanuel would be proud of you, brother. Woo! Because I tell you what, he said, look, in my opinion, Joseph, the only reason why these guys go with these strength and conditioning coaches is to get out of hard sparring when preparing for a fight. But nothing prepares you for battle like hard sparring.
100%.
This is doing them a great disservice. That
Right.
Manuel, he swore by that.
Yeah.
And
I've had guys with strength coaches, but they couldn't spar 10 hard rounds, right? But I've had guys who would laugh at a strength coach and they do 12 rounds all out in the gym, you know, because they have them. If you need the mentality, and if you don't have the mentality, you could have the greatest strength coach on the face of the earth. People need to understand. You could have the greatest strength coach that's ever walked this earth, and he could train you for a year. But if you don't have that mentality, look at Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti in the 9th round of their first fight. If you're not willing and able to do that, then I don't care how many push-ups you can do and how fast you can run the 400-yard dash. You have to have the mentality to withstand war in the way that Arturo and Mickey did. And if you can't do that, then there's not a strength coach on the face of this earth that's going to save you.
You know what? True words were never spoken, John. I tell you what, I love it. Absolutely love it. Let's clean up the sport and let's get these guys out of here. Yep. I'll tell you what. Look, man, give me a pigeon. I appreciate you joining us when you're on vacation getting hammered, but please don't bring that little midget up in my chat. Please. Please. And yes, Lewis, thank you. Hit the like and subscribe for please. Big John Scully. I love it. Eric Gar says, yeah, these guys tough today probably would pass out in a 13-round fight, let alone 15. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, they would piss their pants, most fighters today, if it were same-day weigh-ins, 15-round fights. What say you, John?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different era. We're supposed to be getting stronger and all these things, but I think guys are getting generally softer, mentality wise.
Indeed.
You know, and a lot of times, like with the strength coach stuff, you know, it's like, you know, I picture a guy like he's a fitness coach and he's got you in a very clean gym, and in the gym, you know, you've got a white sweatsuit on. You know, you need to dig down and dirty training. You know what I mean? You need to go through war. And Emmanuel, I think, had it right. You know, I've always been a guy. I felt like I used to go spar with Vinny Pazienza before a lot of my fights because Vinny sparred like a real fight. And I always said, if I can go 8 or 10 rounds with Vinny at that pace, and he's just not giving up and he's trying to win. He's not trying to spar. He's trying to win. And I said, that's preparation. Because I know guys who spar 10 rounds and there's no output. They're not digging down. They're not really, really working. You could have a guy work with a strength coach for a year, but he could spar 3 rounds one day and still die because it's a different world of a sparring and fight, the actual fighting aspect of it, the nerves, and you have to be able to deal with the nerves and the tension that comes with real competition, as opposed to just running and working out and lifting weights and doing different things like that.
Yeah, you know what? That was so well said, brother. Once again, bravo, man. You know, I tell you what, boxing back in a much healthier era where guys sat in the pocket and traded. Like, John, could you ever imagine another fight like Marvin Hagler versus John the Beast Mugabe ever happening again at 160?
Right. It's going to be hard to duplicate those kind of fights. Like I said, Gatti and Ward and Hagler Hearns, but, you know, and that's the thing, like Mugabe, people talk about Hagler Hearns, but that was only 3 rounds. You know, Mugabe lasted way like 3 times longer. I think it was the 11th round.
11th round, that's correct.
And that was a tremendous war, a brutal war. And, you know, Mugabe doesn't get credit for that at all. It's unbelievable.
You know what? That was Showtime Championship Boxing, their first broadcast. That was amazing. Absolutely incredible.